Oil prices hit $50 a barrel for the first time since March. But I want to remind everybody why we are in this situation. I want to talk about oil prices, Saudi Arabia, Russia, OPEC. I want to talk about the fracking industry, shale. We're all here because Saudi Arabia and Russia decided to undermine the shale fracking industry back in March by flooding the markets with too much oil to put them out of their misery. Now, the whole purpose behind this is quite simply because oil prices were high up until the shale industry started producing massive amount of oil, right? In 2020 of February, it had peaked at 13.1 million barrels a day, okay? Now, we peaked in July 1985 at 8.9 million barrels a day. That's the most America's ever produced, but that was purely conventional, where they're not using expensive fracs, as we're 13.1 million in February 2020. Now, Saudi Arabia and Russia didn't like the fact that America became the kingpin, where they were producing more oil than any other country. What that did, it caused oil prices to plummet, and it took the power out of Russia and Saudi Arabia's hands. Number one, we weren't relying upon their oil anymore. We weren't needing to import the oil anymore, and they couldn't control oil prices. They didn't like that. And so what do? They said, how are we going to get rid of the fracking shale industry? Well, when oil prices started declining, let's look here. Let's look at the 5-year chart here. Okay, so oil prices first started to decline in December 2019. It was $62 a barrel, okay? And so then when the COVID hit and COVID started coming in this full swing, oil prices started to drop. But in March, that's when they decided to put the hammer on the oil industry. In April is when they increased output. And so April, oil prices dropped down to $19 a barrel. If you look at Saudi Arabia here, this is their production chart. And so let's just talk about Saudi Arabia because I don't have a chart for Russia. But if you look here, the most that Saudi Arabia has ever produced was 12 million a day, and that was in April of 2020, which is the same month that we dropped to the lowest oil has been in years, okay? So quite simply, Saudi Arabia, if they want to, Russia, if they want to, they could destroy oil prices, but the whole purpose of this is to come against the fracking industry, okay? And so oil hits $50 on vaccine rollout. Look, vaccine has some to play with this, but at the end of the day, it's because Saudi Arabia and Russia and OPEC Plus are manipulating prices. Okay, so right now they're increasing oil. Why? Because they saw oil prices coming up back. They saw the demand recovery coming, and so they are trying to balance this thing to keep the fracking industry in the red, where they're not profiting. Okay, right now rig count is at 320, frac spread 135, and total production is 11.10 million barrels a day. That's the American oil output. All right, so let's talk about shale. The current year marks the 15th anniversary of the U.S. shale boom, a period in which fracking technology, unfortunately high cost of production compared with conventional drilling, has led to the sector consistently printing red ink and resulted in considerable destruction of the shareholder value. The COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent oil price crash has led to investors souring on the industry further, credit becoming harder to come by, and a cross-section of Wall Street calling the end of the sector. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Since its inception, the U.S. shale industry has been a big money loser. A June report from Deloitte revealed that during its 15 years of existence, the U.S. shale industry managed to write off a staggering $450 billion in invested capital while generating $300 billion in net negative cash flow. Further, the sector has recorded more than 190 bankruptcies since 2010, the highest by any sector in the United States. The COVID-19 pandemic served to make a bad situation much worse. So not only is it a big losing proposition, I mean, shale is a big loser. The reason why is because it's the most expensive barrel of oil to produce. If it takes technology to extract oil out of a tight formation called shale, that was never intended to produce oil, it's not economical. Okay. If you spend $20 million to drill a well and frack it, you better produce a lot of oil. Well, it's not, there's just not enough oil there to make it economically feasible. Okay. And so let's look at crude oil prices. All right. Let's look at all the years here. Now, here's we're on a collision course for $150 oil, $100 oil. Okay. Now, if you look at May 1973 here, okay, we hit $21 oil, okay, and what happened? We skyrocketed all the way up to $126 a barrel, okay. Now, if you look here in 1998, we're at $17.81 per barrel, and we skyrocketed all the way to as high as $166 per barrel, okay, and then we dropped to and then here we are, dropped down to $19 a barrel. Okay. Now, what is the common thing that we see here? Well, what we see here is every time oil prices drop down, they always eventually go straight back up very rapidly. Why? Because when oil prices drop, it causes investor sentiment to decline. It causes the oil rig count to drop, less development, less funds being dumped in the oil and gas sector. And what happens? We don't produce near as much oil, and all of a sudden demand continues to grow, and we are in a situation where the commodity price skyrockets, okay? And so this is the longest I've ever seen oil prices stay low, okay? And so the longer oil prices stay low, it's like a slingshot. The longer oil prices stay low, the higher oil prices will go. And so that's because rig counts are dropping. The production destruction is at its highest it's ever been. Production is dropping. The banks, the institutional funding, Wall Street, everybody has lost interest in oil and gas, okay? And a lot of people believe what they're hearing. Well, demand is dropping. Well, that is true. Mainly for the established economies, the countries like America and China and they're not even growing. India is growing, and their demand for oil is growing. The emerging markets have yet to even get started for energy demand, okay? And so an emerging market does not have money for green tech, but they do have money for fossil fuels. Fossil fuels has been a growing industry for years. The infrastructure has been growing for years. Our cars have adapted to fossil fuels. Our industries, our world, our commercial side of things, our residential side of things, it has all adapted to fossil fuels. Now we gotta take what we've been growing for decades and then adapt everything to green tech. Well, first off, we don't have the technology. All right. Second, it's going to take years to be able to go from what we've been building for years, a fossil fuel industry. We're going to have to make it work with green tech. I mean, it's going to take years. It's going to take trillions of dollars. Look, we're not there yet. We have a long time to go. So we're on a collision course we're setting ourselves up for failure. And Saudi Arabia and Russia are laughing all the way to the bank. Okay. They see the writing on the wall. They see this coming, and that's their plan from the get-go. Biden doesn't care. Biden is interested in getting votes, okay? And it worked, okay? He was interested in getting votes. He pandered to the green tech audience. The easiest to manipulate is the young people and it was so easy to manipulate people into believing that global warming, all of these fires, these hurricanes, these earthquakes, it's all because of fossil fuels. It was so easy to manipulate people, okay? And it's so easy because the newer tech is cool. Like, look, a Tesla looks cool. I even take a look at it, all right? I'm not into Tesla, but they just look cool. It's an easier sell, okay? But the truth is that fossil fuels is the only energy that is powering the world. And it's going to take trillions of dollars to get there, okay? We're not there yet, guys. And so we have set ourselves up for failure. We've set ourselves up. We're playing into the hands of Saudi Arabia and Russia to where we're going to have to go to them for oil, for energy again, Okay. The emerging markets are growing. The demand for oil is growing, and we're not going to be able to fill it. So it's good for guys like me. So I'm out there developing right now. I'm able to develop for much cheaper because there's not near as much competition. Conventional plays are still profitable. At $40 oil was very high for conventional back in 2004, and it's still very profitable today. Okay. Shale and fracking has made everyone believe that oil prices are low. Why? Because fracking is very expensive and it's not profitable, okay, where conventional is. And so right now, I'm taking advantage of this time. I'm going into fields, getting on premium leases, drilling and developing now while we can, because if Biden gets in office, who knows what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, a barrel of oil is going to be far more valuable when we're not producing as much because of the destruction and decline of the fracking shale industry. And Saudi Arabia and Russia, at the end of the day, they're going to manipulate prices to keep fracking in the red until it's over. I don't care what shale and the fracking owners are saying. I don't care if they get on Fox, CNN, and the news and saying, hey, you know, we're out of the clear and COVID-19 is coming to an end. We've got the vaccine coming. They're going to tell you all this great news about fracking and shale, but at the end of the day, Saudi Arabia and Russia are in control of that. They're going to keep production at a level until fracking is done, until shale is done. And Biden is on their team. I mean, he already said he is going to ban fracking. He already said that he's going to make it illegal to develop on federal lands. Now, he has said that those claims are false, but at the end of the day, it has come out of his mouth, okay? He is an fossil fuel kind of guy. And so even if everything is hearsay, even if it isn't true, everybody believes that, and it comes down to what people believe. The rumor mills, the fear drives the markets. And at the end of the day, with a Biden in office, with a Democrat in office, it's not good for oil, but it's very good for Russia. It's very good for Saudi Arabia. And we're going to see oil prices go up because it's simple, guys. Trump came in the office, and what did he do? He ripped all the red tape. He opened up the spigots for the fossil fuel industry to grow the biggest it's ever been. And what did that do? It stabilized oil prices, and they dropped tremendously, okay? But when Obama was in office, oil prices were $130 a barrel. Why? Because the industry was not pumping out 13 million a day, okay? So we're going to be producing less oil under Biden. Saudi Arabia and Russia are going to be doing whatever they can because they increased the output recently. Why? Because they saw oil prices are coming back. They saw that oil is starting to come back, but they don't want oil prices come back just yet. Not until the fracking industry drops down to a level that they could start to manipulate and control prices again. All right, guys, I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you like this channel, please subscribe. And if you're interested in looking at oil and gas deals, go in my description below, fill out my form. And if you're an oil operator or you're a geologist, an engineer, and you got something really good to look at, please send it my way. I'm looking at a lot of deals right now, and I'm getting a lot of emails. I'm getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of texts. Hey, you want to see my deal? Hey, check on my deal. Hey, listen, I want to look at deals. There's a lot of amazing projects right now. Now's the time to buy deals. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Thanks.